What do you have? You have a credit score, but what about a revenue score? What about a medical adherence score? There's a new report out there from the World Privacy Forum that found consumers have hundreds of scores that companies buy, and those scores could be impacting your daily life in ways you don't know. John Ulzheimer of CreditSesame.com joins us to explain. Hey, John, great to see you. Even I am shocked and surprised about how many scores they are and the kinds of things they're tracking. We've seen the number of scores rise from less than 25 in 2007 to more than 100 this year. What's going on?
Yeah, what's happening, Jerry, is more and more of the lending and service providing risk assessment process is being automated. And what that means is information, instead of being visually looked at and subjectively considered by consumers, it's simply being scored by very sophisticated algorithms as a way to provide lenders and other service providers a sneak peek into the likelihood that you're going to generate revenue, default, file bankruptcy, move your business from one account to another account.
All right, wait a minute. I want to break down that list, because I think when you really look inside these lists, they're pretty shocking. This is big data reaching into your personal life and telling lenders and everybody else details, real minute details about what you do, like your medical adherence score. What is that?
So the medical adherence score is a score that predicts the likelihood of you actually following the doctor's orders and getting your prescriptions filled and then actually taking your medicine. And it's good for the physician to know this, because he or she has to know if you're actually doing the things that are being suggested to keep you healthy. So it's not necessarily always a bad thing to have that type of score consider your prescription types of practices.
There's a churn score. Companies like wireless carriers, cable companies create scores that predict how likely you are to jump from carrier to carrier. What is the job security score?
Yeah, job security score is essentially a score that considers information about the industry where you currently work and fluctuations within the industry to predict whether or not you have job security or if your job is potentially at risk.
Here's my question about all this, and we can do some more of these. I was really shocked, and I've covered this a long time, right? So I was surprised at how deep they're going with big data, but they have access to so many details about your personal life these days. They can make estimated guesses about what you'll do. But I know just how accurate some of these regular old-fashioned credit scores are and the credit reports behind them. And I have to tell you, not that accurate. Are these more accurate?
There's really nothing that suggests that they're any more accurate or less accurate than your traditional credit scores. At the end of the day, the companies that buy these models and essentially pay to have them developed are relying on them. And if they're using them to make decisions, then they must feel fairly confident that the scores that are being generated are actually telling a relevant and accurate study representative of what type of action that the consumer is going to be taking. They're spending billions of dollars on these types of scores.
There's a bankruptcy score that predicts the likelihood that you'll file bankruptcy. Insurance risk scores. Are you likely to actually use your homeowner policy, or will you just pay the premiums and never take advantage of their services? You know, what's next, John? Is there any part of my life they don't want to look into?
Not really. If there's a way to model it, then they're going to look at it. I mean, we've talked about the potential for social media data being considered by some lenders as a way to assess risk. So really, there really is nothing that is quote unquote off limits, as long as they follow federal law. And this all falls under the purview of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, because this information is being considered to make decisions about whether or not someone wants to do business with you. So as long as they're following the rules, then there's really no limitation.
Well, John, it's either the federal government texting me about being overweight or one of these companies trying to predict whether I'm taking my meds or not. Crazy. Thanks for coming on. Great to see you as always.
You bet. Thanks, Jerry.